Hey guys, my name is Anthony Tran and welcome to the Seller Tradecraft channel. I just wanted to give you guys a quick introduction about me and my background with selling on Amazon and like just who I am, you know? So my whole journey with Amazon kind of started with like the whole eBay thing. Like I started selling on eBay when I was in college, and then I realized that hey, instead of shipping 100 boxes to each individual customer, I can just ship one giant box to Amazon and they'll ship it all for me, and like they'll take some fees, but whatever. Like that was a huge time saver, and I knew like once I did that, once I tried it, I was like, you know, this is not bad, you know, like I like Amazon FBA. And that's how I got my feet wet. But the reason I've always like kind of hustled and like wanted to make money on the side is I always felt, it's weird to say it, like I felt dependent on my mom. So when I was 16, my mom actually left to go to Puerto Rico to support, you know, me and her. So she left me the house, she left me the car, and I basically raised myself since I was 16. And you know, like in some ways, like I always felt I was like really mad at her at first for like leaving me, and then I eventually realized, you know, she made a sacrifice and she's trying just to take care of us, and this is like the only way she knows how. So now I understand it, right? Now that I'm older, and like I totally respect her for that. But the thing is, like my mom is still over there, right? And at the time I started Amazon, I was in college, and I was still like trying to make more money, but I didn't want to be dependent on my mom, right? I want my mom to just like be able to take care of herself, just fend for her. Or I want to be able to take care of my mom, you know, like who doesn't want to take care of their mom? So this is how the story goes, you know. So I started selling on Amazon right before I graduated college. I started retail arbitrage, and I'll actually pull my numbers up for you guys so you guys can see. And I think a lot of people just like, people who teach about Amazon don't really show their numbers. So I'm gonna change the game. I'm gonna show my numbers, right? Let me blur some of this part so you guys can see. And I think a lot of people just like, people who teach about Amazon don't really show their numbers. So I'm gonna change the game. I'm gonna show my numbers, right? Let me blur some of this part out so you don't see like my email and everything. Okay, well, I logged in already. Alright, so let's jump to 2000. The year of 2014 is when I first started. So 2014. Alright, so in the year 2014, I was a senior in college, and I had just read Chris Green, shout out to Chris Green, Retail's Arbitrage book. I'll be honest, I did not pay for it. I did download it off the internet, but I have bought some of their other products, Chris Green, so I think that balances it out. But that book changed my life, honestly. Like if there's a book that you need to read to get started selling on Amazon, I highly recommend Chris Green's Retail Arbitrage book. So I read it, and then I basically from that I sold $36,000 worth of stuff in Q4, basically as a senior in college. I had a $36,000 business in 3 months, and I made $7,000 from it, right? Like to me, I was like, okay, like that's not bad. It's like $7,000 in 2 months, in 3 months of working, having no clue what I was doing with like very little experience. Yeah, that's not too bad. So I did the retail arbitrage thing for a while, and then so I graduated and I did a little road trip for a couple months from the money I made. I went to California to visit all my friends, family, and people in my fraternity, and that was awesome. Because I only had to pay for food the whole time. But let's get back to the Amazon thing. So as you see, in January, February, March, April, May, I lost money, and that was because I was traveling in California, and I finally started working in May, right? But when I started working, I realized that hey, I can't really do this whole retail arbitrage thing like anymore. Like I don't want to go 9 to 5 and then do retail arbitrage. So I started doing online arbitrage a lot more whenever I had like free time, in any situations, like from 9 to 5 or from 5 to 9 p.m. just whenever I had time, really, right? So made some money, got okay at it, like, and I started getting a little better at it like by September, October, right? I was just signed up to, I think, like the list and a couple other like list services just to get an idea of like how this whole market works, right? So there's two that I recommend. I can't think of it off the top of my head. One is the list -os or something, but Curtis Brunoff or something runs it. Yeah, I'm probably chopping that up, but Curtis runs it. He's a great guy. I learned a lot from that group, actually, just watching them buy stuff. And there's a couple other guys in there too. But in September, the big thing that happened and that changed my life is I went to Jim Cockrum's CES event, and basically it was the first time I was surrounded by Amazon sellers, right? It was the first time I went out of my way to network, right? I met other sellers. And when I got to this conference, right, it was in Louisville, Kentucky, and it was my birthday that weekend. I didn't know anyone, and I went there. So from there, I met a lot of great people. I met some Eddie, the Robertson brothers from the UK. I met Abe, and a whole bunch of people just like along the way on the journey. And it's just like, looking back on it, we still all talk now. We all still basically sell on Amazon. But being there and realizing that people do this for a living, and no offense, right? I'm 24 as of right now, but when I went, I was 22, and I was literally the youngest guy in the room from what I can tell, and from everyone I met. And they were all saying that, I mean, like, what I realized was more like, everyone here may have more wisdom than me in like life experience and business, but I've done eBay for so long and retail arbitrage for a couple months now, and I was like, if everyone in this room can do it, I can do it too. And that's the way I kind of view things. So, you know, like, I don't think it's impossible. Like, I was just kind of like sized up my competition, honestly, and I was like, hey, if you guys can do it, I can do it too. And I just was inspired by like the people there, and that's what was key in that conference for me, right? So I went on later that month to do what, my November and December were a lot better, and this was all working like a part-time corporate job, right? So I did $34,000 in sales for the year, not sales, in net profit, and then I did $189,000 in sales, you know, and this is all doing it part-time and doing retail and online arbitrage and a little bit of wholesale, right? So I was like, okay, like, not too bad, 34,000, like, this business is still going. And then you know, 34,000, I was like, okay, now who couldn't use an extra 34,000? And then 2016 happened. I started exploring more into private label. In 2015, I had my first private label product that was coming. So in September, actually, of 2015, my product had just started selling. My first ever product had just started selling for like a month on Amazon. And I remember going on my way. This is the Scott Volker story I have. So Scott Volker, I met him when he was like on episode 10, podcast like 10. I drove all the way up to like Fort Worth to go meet the guy and to just like network with other people doing private label. And I get there and like everyone's like, yeah, I'm doing private label, I'm learning, and you know, but the thing is, like, I didn't really get much out of that meetup. I drove 5 hours to Fort Worth to do that, but I like realized like, hey, no one kind of really knows what to do yet exactly, but I did listen to those first 10 episodes and I realized like, hey, other people are doing it. There's some successful people here at this meeting, and I was like, hey, if they can do it, I can do it. Like, I feel like I'm doing like everything that I know to the best of my ability. Like, why should it not work? So my first private label product started working, right? By the end of December, like, it was selling really good. So I started reinvesting my money, right? So the thing is with Amazon, it's like, if you start taking money out, it's gonna stop growing. It's not gonna grow as fast, right? Basically, that's how it works. And now in 2016, let's go to 2016 numbers. Oh, great. Inventory lab just crashed or something right when I'm trying to make this video. Okay, so let's go to 2016 numbers. Alright, so private label, started private labeling, and I kind of knew like, hey, private label is the way to go. Like, there seems to be a lot more people doing it. There seems to be like, it it always felt to me like a nice place to be, like in terms of the business models on Amazon, retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, wholesale. Private label to me was the mecca. That was the word I was looking for. Private label is the mecca. So essentially, I started reinvesting my money and finding more products, and along the way I was trying to source these electric disposable toothbrush heads, right? So the electric disposable toothbrush heads are basically my it was basically the only failed product I ever had, right? But it was also the best thing that ever happened to me. So while I was trying to source it, I ran into this guy named Chris. So Chris is a his family owns a toothbrush company in China, and I was trying to source electric toothbrushes. But in his past job, he was a sourcing agent for Caterpillar, so he was sourcing like hydraulics and other heavy machinery. So in return, he was just like, hey, like, can you, he was like, me and him became kind of friends over the internet, you know, over Skype. And he was just always like, yeah, if you ever need to find anything else, like, let me know, like, I'll go look for it. Like, we'll see what's out there. And from there, I would blind test him, right? I'd be like, hey, here's an item, can you go look for it? Here's another item, can you go look for it? Here's another item. Each time, he would always get a better quote than me, or find another factory, or he would find out like, oh, it's a trading company. He'll just find out and get more intel than like I ever did. And what he does is he just picks up the phone, calls them, while I'm sitting there like emailing him back and forth. Like it takes like 48 hours, it's broken English. I'm trying to talk to them on Skype, can't understand half of them, most of them like half the time. I'm trying to stay awake at 11 p.m., 12 a.m. on a work night, you know, and that sucks, right? But, and then I kept doing more products with him, and then after like, you know, like 10 different sourcing jobs, I realized like, you know, this guy's legit and he really wants to help. And you know, we did like businesses for like 10 different products together, and then Q4 happened, right? Q4, everyone's like, hey man, like you definitely need to order like 3 times your inventory level. I'll tell you right now, I really needed to order like 5 or 6 times my inventory levels than the rest of the year in my niche, which is, for this particular area, was like toys and home and kitchen. So what happened is he goes out with Chris, right, my right hand man in China. He goes, I'm like talking to the factory, I'm like, dude, I like need you guys to build more, like we got like Christmas is coming. He's like, our capacity is like we only can do 3,000. I was like, no, I need 9,000, right? I need 9,000. Technically I needed what, like 12,000 or 15,000 really, because I was air shipping, but I'll get to that. But Chris, right? So Chris drives 3 hours out of his way to go to Shanghai, China, which is the toy capital of China from what I understand. And he sits down with Mr. Lee, and he's like, Mr. Lee, Anthony needs 9,000. How do we make this happen? And somehow they talked, and then I think what it was is Mr. Lee realized that Chris and I were serious customers, and he went out of his way to find more workers and get the equipment and the materials and supply to be able to produce the amount of goods that I needed. And to me, Chris was a keeper after that, right, essentially. And that's like, when you find someone like that in Asia, like, you gotta keep them, right? So next thing you know, December is going well. All the stuff was sea shipped in October, but we were running out of supplies in December, and we were just air shipping every freaking day. I was like, dude, as soon as you make some, just air ship it. As soon as you make some, air ship it. Like, luckily enough for like my items, I had a good enough margin to where I could sell it, even at airship, and still make money, right? Of course, you want to sea ship everything, but at that point, you rather make sales than not make sales. And I definitely not want to lose my keyword rank position by going out of stock. So to kind of highlight my 2016 year, it was a very life-changing experience. I went, you know, from doing 1,000 to 2,000 to 12,000, 16,000, 9,000, 8,000 to 2,000 to this. Around the July, August mark, the numbers were a lot lower because I had to like reinvest a lot of money into getting a lot of inventory and launching some new products. But as you can see, in September, October, November, December, like, it really paid off for me, right? And I ended the year off with $1,069,000 and 269,119 cents, right? Oh, sorry, it was a little hard for me to say that. But, you know, like, dude, I'm 24 and I just built myself technically $1 million business. This is like something I didn't think I was gonna do so soon in my life. I always knew like I could do it, but I did not realize that I was gonna do it so soon. And I netted $277,265.98, right, in the year of 2016, last year. And that kind of blew my mind. Like, I always knew that my goal in college, right, was to get a 6-figure job and to do it by 30. So I actually technically did it last year in 2015 when I did that, you know, Amazon combined with my corporate salary. I hit the 6-figure mark. And that was essentially, for me, when I was in college, my goal was to always hit 6 figures by the time I graduate. Not by the time I graduate, but by the time I was 30, right? 6 figures by the time I was 30, I'll be happy. I hit it within my first year out of working with my corporate job and doing Amazon, and it kind of just like released this like mental barrier that I've always had. I was like, oh my god, I was 22, 23 at the time. I was like, hey, this is like something that I thought was going to take me 70 years to do. I did it in 1 year. Like, what else can I do? So that's why I went really hard in 2016, and I'm glad to say because of the success I had in 2016, I was finally able to quit my job 3 months ago, back in March of 2017, and I've been doing the Amazon thing full time. So basically, I hope that breaks down to you guys like who I am, some stuff about my journey, and like the success I've seen and the reasons why for it, right? I think it all comes down to like your why, like what drives you to like do this business, and what drives you, like why do you want this lifestyle? Who are you trying to take care of? For me, it was like I always knew I wanted to take care of my mom, and for me, I've always wanted that freedom of, you know, being able to work from anywhere, and just like be my own boss and just be an entrepreneur just like my mom. I always thought it was like really cool, and now like I'm really doing it, and it feels great. So subscribe to the channel, drop me a like if you know like this video, and if anything, join our Facebook group at Solar Tradecraft, and feel free to ask me any questions about, you know, just selling on Amazon. I'm just kind of here to like kind of give back to the community and just about the things I've learned and like how I plan to evolve in the future. And you know, like if you guys have any tips and tricks for me, that would be awesome too. So, you know, share the love. All right, peace out.